Oh, lovely.
Buongiorno. We're out in the garden today as we're making a pea frittata for tea tonight. Apparently a slightly different recipe that he's doing, so he'll tell you more about that later on. My job is to collect some peas. Now, as you can see, I've got quite a lot of peas in here. 2.5 rows, and then these beauties behind me on the pergola. These aren't quite ready yet, but you can see these ones are, look. They're really lovely, nice and firm, and they need picking, to be honest. The more you pick, the more you get, is one of the things with peas. I think these are actually all from my peas last year, which I obviously saved some and dried them off. Then I grow them again this year, and they're coming on lovely, actually. Nothing is quite as big as it was last year, or normal year, should I say, because we've had this dreadful weather in the UK where it's been dry and then it's been wet and it's been cold, so things are a little bit stunted. However, they prevail, and as you can see, there are still lots of pods on here. So how many do you want, darling? A good few handfuls?
I need about 300 grams once shelled, so...
This does this to me and expects me to know what that is. You need to give it to me
you
in handfuls.
You ask me how many
I know,
do you need?
handful. I need to know handfuls, or one
Quite
of those
a lot,
full, maybe.
Quite a lot, and then
right.
we can freeze the rest.
Okay.
Now listen, anyone who would like to start growing peas, can you give them any tip? Because
oh gosh,
obviously...
they're dead easy, peas are.
There you go.
So basically...
Just open one to show you we go there.
Oh, and then I might have to eat them. There we go.
Of course.
Only 3 in there, look, but that's a little one. So what will happen is you'll actually receive these in your packet, and they will be quite dry. And then what I tend to do is I start mine in the greenhouse in a little, like a container, which has got lots of compartments in. Normally about that sort of size, and I pop 1 or 2 in each of the compartments with some compost, not too deep, just with a little soil on top. And then I start mine off in the greenhouse. Beginning of March really is when I started. I did these actually in sections. I think these were the 11th of March, and I sowed these on the 1st of April.
Yeah.
You know, and then these ones actually were a little bit later as well. The idea being that you get a bit of a succession. But anyway, so you pop them in and then you just give them a gentle water, try and keep them in a warm place. You can take them indoors, depends on your weather. You'll have to look at your area where you live and what sort of weather there is. But for me personally this year, I was able to just keep them in the greenhouse. And then when they start to grow and they get to a plant about so big, and the weather's obviously okay outside, which would have been, I think I would have brought them outside probably mid-April-ish, because we had quite a nice warm spell then. And then you put them in the garden, and then they romp on, and then they grow. You do need a little support. You can use what they call pea sticks. Basically some sticks in the garden, you know, from trees and things you pop in, and then they kind of clamber up. If you leave them on the floor, they will just romp away and cover all the floor. So the idea is to get them up.
You're using yours from last year. Do you dry them?
Yeah, I just leave some. Towards the end of the season, I will just leave a load on and then wait until they're really quite dry. And then I take them off, dry them off further indoors, and I pop them in little bags, because I'm ever so sad, little bags. And then I write on them what my peas are and what date they come from. But yeah, they're nice. They're lovely. The problem is we keep coming out and eating them by handfuls.
It's not a problem, that's a good thing.
Of course, this is part of the Patch to Plate series that Francesca's been doing, but also Seed to Plate, if you follow my part of it. This is all part of the Food That Looks After You, which actually we've got well and truly into, but if you'd like to get into it as well, then follow Francesca in the kitchen.
I finished peeling them all. I want to see how much they weigh, because I suspect I've got considerably more than what I need. I'll just get my scale up. So in total I've got 430 grams, a bit more than what I need. I just need about 300, so I'll just remove a couple of handful. Wow, 299, there you go, let's make it 300. Have you ever tried fresh peas from the pod? They are something else, really, really nice. Of course, you can do this using supermarket peas or frozen peas, which is what I tend to use in the winter when I make this frittata. So clearly, being the season where we go fresh peas, it would be a shame not to. So 300 grams of peas. These are large spring onions. I've had them in the fridge for a good week, and they need to be used up now. So I'm gonna use these. But if I did not have spring onions, I would have used normal white onions or red onions, entirely up to you. The red onions are a little bit sweeter. In this particular case, I like them to be a little bit sharper so that the flavor contradicts slightly offset, more than contradicts the sweetness from the peas. But as they've been in the fridge a little bit over a week, I will remove the outer skin as it's a little bit old now and past. Otherwise I would have left it on. So perfect. So either 2 of these or a large white or red onion. If I was making just the pasta, I would chop this very finely, but as I'm making a frittata, I like to see the rings, so I'm actually chopping them in little rings like this. Little olive oil at the base of a frying pan, and I'll turn this on, and I'll turn it on medium-high to start with, followed by the onions and my garlic. And being that I'm using a spring onion, this will be even quicker than using a normal onion, but I will leave it to sizzle for about a couple of minutes, making sure that I don't burn the garlic, so I'll turn this down a little. And my fresh peas can go in. You can also use, as I mentioned before, frozen peas. You do not need to defrost, just add them in. Couple of minutes, my peas have absorbed some of the flavor from the garlic and the onion, and I'm going to add a small amount of hot water. Very noisy, and this will help the peas cook a little bit further and quicker. Don't add too much water. We are not making a minestrone, we're making a frittata. The purpose of the water is to give the peas a good foundation so that they cook evenly. I'll turn this down a little as it's a little bit noisy. Before I forget, a little salt and some pepper, and then I can forget about it. Smell is good already. I'll place the lid on and I'll leave them to gently cook in their own steam. This will take about 6 to 8 minutes to completely cook. They're garden peas, they're normally a little bit bigger than what we tend to use. If I was to use our standard supermarket peas, I would have purchased petit pois, which are considerably smaller. So within 5 minutes, most probably they would have been ready. So lid on so they can cook in their own steam. In the meantime, I'll cook some pasta. You might be wondering, pasta with a frittata? Yes, actually it is very common, especially in southern Italy. I'm only cooking 60 grams, by the way, and these are called ditalini. I brought it back from Sicily. So pasta is on, and I will want it to be slightly cooler before I mix it with the frittata later, so I'll cook it now. Cheese next, and actually you do not have to put cheese in frittata because generally the eggs are good enough for the frittata to bond together, but cheese will also help, but also it will give you flavor. So if you wanted a vegan version, do not add cheese, or add vegan cheese, or if you like a vegetarian version like me, you can add some cheese. Today's cheese is special. This is called provolone con corda. Corda stands for string, and provolone is the type of cheese. It's very soft if you look, and it's really delicious in taste. I'll just add a little. Need to taste it, don't we? Oh god, it's good. And it's got a bit of a smokiness to it, so I'm going to use this today. But you can use any cheese you like. You can use cheddar, for example, which is what I tend to use when I make a frittata, because it melts nicely, but also Parmigiano, Pecorino, or any cheese you like. I will be mixing everything together later, of course. Frittata, that's what the name implies. So I'm going to grate this because I want to make sure that the flavor is properly distributed across the entirety of my frittata. Okay, so peas and pasta are cooked, so I can start putting my frittata together. I'm actually looking for the clove of garlic, which I think has partly disintegrated, but I want to make sure that I whiz it. Anyway, no big deal if I don't. I just put about 4 spoons of my peas in there, and I'll keep this. And I'll add a little olive oil to my food processor. You can also use a hand blender if you don't have a food processor, or a fork if you like. The difference is that if you use a fork, you will end up with a more rustic finish. Not the end of the world, actually it's quite nice also. I've done it before, but like this, it'll give you a smoother finish and creamy frittata. So I'm going to blend this now. That's it, literally just a few seconds, and you can see that I got a very nice paste. I have a frittata playlist, by the way, where I've got different types and different ways on how I cook them. Sometimes they are done in the oven, and you will know if you watched any of my other frittata videos that my standard frittata is always made with 8 eggs. That is because I always make more than what we need, and then we can have frittata cold for 2 or 3 days afterwards. I love it when it's cold. So my 8 eggs are in. I'll just give them a quick mix, not very long, literally about 10 seconds. And I'll start by adding all of my ingredients. So it doesn't really matter the order. So I'll put the paste in first. And if you think about it, this will give my frittata a beautiful and light green color as an underlining color. So peas can go in next. And as the pan is all greased up, I'll leave it for later. Here is my pasta, which just slightly cooled down, you can see, so that can go in, and that will also provide texture and carbohydrates. And my penultimate ingredient is the cheese, which I've grated. My last ingredient, I didn't mention it earlier because I keep it in the freezer as it is frozen, is parsley. So quantities are very subjective, but I'm going to be very generous because this is absolutely lovely in frittatas. Now start mixing everything together. You can see that this is a bit too high. You can see that the color has changed. Can you see this light, beautiful underlining color? What is your favorite frittata? I really like peas, also like pepper frittata, but there are so many variations. Also chips frittata is really nice. I will just add a little bit more because I don't want to get stuck to the bottom, so you'll have to judge it. You can see that it's quite greased already and it's got a good temperature. So I'll pour this in. And what I mean by chips frittata, by the way, is not a straightforward potato frittata. I remember once Julie and I had some fish and chips, and they made an error with the order, and they gave us twice the amount of chips that we ordered. So they left it with us, of course, and they went cold, and then the day after I made a frittata with them and they were really nice. Actually, you should try. If you got any leftover chips, you can also reheat them in the air fryer, by the way, and eat them straight after. They're really crunchy and beautiful. But making frittata with chips from a fish and chip shop is really good. Anyway, as I mentioned before, whenever you're making a frittata, you need to be patient. So the trick is to leave it to do its own thing and do not rush it, and you will end up with a beautiful frittata. If you then heat up high, you will burn the bottom. So the lid goes on, and this will help the frittata to cook also on the top, as the steam will rise and it will cook at the top. So it will take about 10 minutes, and then I'll show you what it looks like. 10 minutes in, I don't think it's quite ready to be flipped yet. Look, can you see? Although it's cooking nicely on the edges, it's still very liquidy at the bottom here in the middle. So another 5 minutes, should be ready. Time to turn it over. So get hold of a plate, little olive oil, and ensure that you spread it across the entire surface of the plate. Now let's check the frittata one more time. First thing to do, move it. You can see that it's moving freely. You be quiet. So it should be good to flip it or turn it over. Now this is quite solid now, so I'm comfortable that although there's a little bit of liquid in there, that will be perfectly okay. Of course, ensure that the plate you're using is smaller than the circumference of your pan, so that it fits in nicely, just like this. Or if you've got a lid which is flush, use a lid. I can't, because obviously this is called a lip, and it will not go anywhere. And turn it around, and there it is. Let's have a look. Voila, it's looking good. Perfect. So as I've got some oil at the bottom of my plate, this will slide in beautifully, and it is almost cooked now. Just a couple of minutes, no lid necessary, as I don't need to cook the top, and it will be ready. And there she is, literally no more than a couple of minutes. Shake it once again to ensure that it's not stuck to the bottom. It'll just slide in beautifully. Obviously this is really hot, and I will be leaving it to cool down, and then I'll tuck in once it's cooled down. You can eat it hot if you like, but I prefer mine a little bit colder. So I'll see you in a little while once it's cooled down. Ciao ciao for now. So it's been sitting in there for a good half hour. I want to slice it now, but I'm going to remove it from this plate and put it on a chopping board. I asked Julie if she would like to come and test the frittata using the peas from a garden. She said to me, at what stage in your life you're going to start asking sensible questions? Anyway, here it is, look. Oh,
lovely.
See the pasta. This is called Tortellini, Julie, but what we brought back from Sicily.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Let's have a look at the inside of it. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
Lovely.
looking great. And as it is obviously cooler, you can handle it, and you can slice it very easily, and it moves very, very well. Now, Mrs. Tortellino is going to join me. Bear in mind, this is a frittata using peas from a vegetable patch.
Yeah, and make a change from eating them raw.
Yes, come on, come round.
What, you don't think I can get something that big in my mouth?
You can. There you go.
Okay, let's have a little try.
It's not even dinner time yet.
No.
We're going to
This is
have
like-
this with salad later, so but
yeah.
entirely up to you.
It's still actually quite warm, isn't it?
Let's do it bit warm, yeah. Tell you what, the peas are really sweet, and the parsley presence is there, but the pasta is not innocent either. It gives substance and strength. It's a really
Body,
good
isn't it?
dish.
It gives it some body. Yeah. Yeah, but no, it
And,
tastes lovely.
It's absolutely delicious, very sweet, and if you have this cold,
I think it'll be even better later, yeah.
oh,
But it's the sort of thing you can have in the fridge and just grab a quick piece as a snackette.
as you do.
Or you can go up to my vegetable patch and go and pick a load of peas and then stand and eat them.
What I haven't told Julie, by the way, is that I had some peas left over, and I said, oh, I'll remove them because they're too much. I ate them all.
I know.
Anyway, thank you for watching. As I said, this is part of the Patch to Plate series, and Julie mentioned this morning that this is also food that looks after you. You can see why. Make it and let me know how you get on. You can use any type of pasta, of course, even spaghetti. Thank you for watching once again, and have a good day. Bye bye.